Hello there, I'm Shaylin Cotton, here at TheGamer to run you through the basics of Chaos Dungeons in Lost Ark. Once you've reached level 50 and completed Eileen's Request questline ending with Eileen's Gift, you'll be granted access to Chaos Dungeons. You can find your first in North Vern, but there are Chaos Dungeons on every continent in endgame content. You might be wondering, if Chaos Dungeons are optional, how important can they be? Well, let's take a look. Chaos Dungeons are just one of many endgame activities you can participate in. Just like it sounds, Chaos Dungeons are dungeons where waves of mobs will be thrown at you relentlessly. Your goal is to slay enough monsters to fill up the progress gauge before time runs out. Once you've done that, a portal will appear to a new zone. The timer resets and more mobs appear. To complete the dungeon, you just need to fill the purification gauge by killing monsters before time runs out. So now you know how it works. What's the strategy to win? Chaos Dungeons will always run the same way. The first zone you enter will be teeming with basic mobs, easy to churn through. The trick here is to herd all your enemies into a group and then spam them with AoE attacks. The second zone will have some mini-bosses to defeat and one world boss to slay before the next portal opens. It's not a bad idea to focus on mini-bosses when they appear, as these will drop Fighting Spirit Other when slain. These will increase your attack speed, movement speed, and decrease your cooldowns. The third zone will have Rift Core crystals that appear across the map that must be broken to spawn mini-bosses and waves of mobs. Rift Core crystals will also sometimes drop Fighting Spirit Ether when broken, so be sure to gather those. As you progress through each of the zones, you will also see floating blue orbs. Passing through these grants a temporary speed buff that's actually pretty useful for kiting enemies. Also, just be aware that while you can clear a Chaos Dungeon with friends or join a party, the difficulty does scale the more players you have. Clearing solo when possible isn't a bad idea. Chaos Dungeons can only be run twice a day per character for the optimal rewards. You see, each character has 100 aura of resonance per day, and every dungeon requires 50 to enter if you want the max amount of loot. You can still run most Chaos Dungeons without any resonance, you'll just get less goodies. It's still a valid way to grind for honing gear materials, however. But there is a nifty little catch-up mechanic. Say you take a break from Lost Ark for a bit. For every 50 units of resonance you still have in the bank when the dailies reset at 10 AM Coordinated Universal Time, you get a plus 10 rest bonus. When your rest bonus is at 20 or more, the next Chaos Dungeon you complete will drop twice as much loot. You can even have up to 100 rest bonus stored at a time. It'll only boost your first 2 daily Chaos Dungeon runs, but thanks to this mechanic, you don't have to worry about missing a couple of dailies and massively falling behind on the grind. You'll have already noticed that the different levels of Chaos Dungeons have a cap on item level in order to enter. Chaos Dungeons in North Vern start with an item level cap of 250 and scale up from there. Chaos Dungeons are also separated into 3 tiers. As you progress to other continents and their Chaos Dungeons, the item level caps continue to scale. This is important because accessing higher tier Chaos Dungeons means better loot. Chaos Dungeon loot is broken up mainly into 3 categories: currency, upgrade materials, and gear. Currency such as perception shards and disorder crystals can be spent at the Chaos Dungeon vendor to trade in for honing gear materials, jewelry, engraving books, and more. As you progress to higher Chaos Dungeon tiers, perception shards will evolve into guardian shards and disorder crystals into contempt crystals, and so forth. Higher tier currencies can be spent on even better items. For a full breakdown on all the different Chaos Dungeon vendor rewards, be sure to check out the article by Charles Bougar in the description. Tier 2 and Tier 3 Chaos Dungeons not only grant access to better upgrade materials, but gives you a chance of obtaining items such as gems, ability stones, and even tickets to other endgame activities such as the Cube or the Hall of Silence. So, not only are Chaos Dungeons an essential means to getting better gear and upgrading the gear you have, completing them only helps you unlock new and better challenges. For more tips and guides on Lost Ark, be sure to check out TheGamer.com.